investigative piece that found that more than 100,000 convicted felons or other prohibited persons tried to buy guns each year during the Obama administration because they lied on their application, which is against the law. But it was so lightly prosecuted, it's got people going, whoa, what was up with that? What do you know about this?
Oh, Steve, you're so right on this. First off, the former administration, the former President Obama was called the gun control president, but this president was one of the laxest where it concerned enforcement of gun laws and prosecution of those who broke gun laws. Now, you mentioned the 4473. That is the form that you fill out when you go and get your background check in the NRA-created NICS system. It checks 3 separate FBI-maintained databases. And the problem with this is that there are a lot of people that would falsify their 4473. Now, that's a serious crime. But Joe Biden once told reporters in a separate Daily Caller piece several years ago that he, quote, they didn't have time to prosecute everyone who lied on their 4473, made a mistake, or checked a wrong box. What is the point of having these laws when you have people who refuse to enforce them? And so this is what the NICS system, this is what catching these people at the point of sale is all about, so you don't punish the law-abiding.
Dana,
I want to add really quickly, too, with Attorney General Jeff Sessions, we've seen an increase now in prosecutions of felony possession, 23%, and in firearms that are illegally possessed and abused during drug trafficking. We've seen an increase in those prosecutions over 10%. So I think that the president and I think that Attorney General Jeff Sessions are both owed a lot of credit from people like the Brady Group and the Moms Demand in Everytown, because they fearmonger and fundraise off these issues, but they're not given credit where it's due.
Turns out enforcing the law actually works when you do it. There's a bipartisan gun control deal emanating from the Senate at this point. Senators involved are Senator John Cornyn, Chris Murphy, Richard Blumenthal, Tim Scott, Orrin Hatch, Dean Heller, and Jeanne Shaheen. So a very interesting mix of Republicans and Democrats, some who presumably have received support from the NRA in the past, looking to, in light of these shootings, it's crafted to attempt to better enforce current law and strengthen the National Instant Criminal Background Check, the NICS system that you referred to, so that people don't fall through the cracks. How do you feel about this bill?
Well, I like Cornyn's direction on this bill, and the NRA has fought for 20 years to make sure that states are compliant. There have been numerous laws passed that have mandated that states submit felony convictions into these FBI databases that the NICS system that the NRA created checks. Now, here's something I want everyone to consider. In 2012, you had, about 80,000 individuals, roughly, who falsified their 4473s. Guess how many in 2012? How many of those were prosecuted? Only 44. And when you consider how you have I think about 38 states that submit less than 80% of all of their felony convictions to these systems, guys, Pete, that's 7 million cases that you have out there, felony convictions. Those are people like the Sutherland Springs murderer, when the Air Force didn't submit his conviction at all. This is a huge problem. Look, people want to be able to defend themselves. I think of Christina Gearman, who is in Rancho Tehama, and she heard gunshots outside when that murderer went on his rampage, and she told the press, I have the right to bear arms, and I want to make sure I can protect myself and my family. People want to be able to protect themselves, and these politicians for the longest time, Feinstein, Schumer, etc., have said they're going to make this system work. This is what the NRA has pioneered and what the NRA has pushed. This is what our members supported. I like Cornyn's direction on this bill. The members like Cornyn's direction on this bill. The system is only as good as the records submitted to it. The records need to be submitted, and states need to be compliant, and that's what this is all about. And I think that this is a great move, and I think that the NRA gets blamed for everything, but the NRA doesn't get credit for all of the great stuff that it does. This is an issue that the NRA pioneered, and I think the members and I think those who are taking this seriously, they should be applauded for that. This is a good move.
And solutions that actually address the reasons why things happen, as opposed to knee-jerk reactions that we see so often.
Enforcing the law, absolutely, enforcing the law. Laws work when you enforce them, and that's what this is about.
You got to go after the people who break them. All right, Dana.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.